Hey visionaries, Charles Lawton here with Rural Realty Group. Whether you're an investor, a first-time home buyer, or an agent looking for a team, our goal here is to help you attain wealth using real estate. Follow us on all social media platforms at Rural Realty Group TX. Now enjoy the show with Cuff and Mo.
Silver, you spell it a very, very unique way. How did that happen? I mean, you were kind of telling us before we got started that your father changed his name or
Yeah,
the
my
spelling
father
of the name.
changed. Yeah, my grandmother and grandfather were both Silvers. My aunt, she's a Silver. We're the Silver with an I. My dad changed it to a Y. The story is that when he was in third grade, he learned that you can change the I to a Y. And so he started to change it in third grade and to a Y. And then he would change it to an I sometimes. And then his teacher told him, well, you have to pick one. Is it a Y or an I? Which one is your name? So he liked the Y, so he used the Y. And back then, he was born in a log cabin or something like that. The courthouse burnt down, and he got the opportunity to make his own birth certificate when he went to the military, and it's a Y. Legally, it's a Y.
And Mo, you ever thought about changing the way you spell Ryan?
No, not at all. Because I was gonna be Ruben the third, and when I was born, my mom asked my dad if he wanted to, make me a trade. He was like, "No, let him do his own thing." So I went from being Ruben the third to Ryan.
Yeah, funny story. I was supposed to be a Rory, Rory, and let's just say I'm very glad that it was Ryan. But you look at names and you see, you've run into a bunch of Ryans in our lifetime. You look at the way people spell it: Ryenne, Ryne, Rian and then
Yeah,
there's two N's on
people
it.
have taken all kind of liberties with it for sure.
Yeah, I saw one with the
Yeah,
H the other day in there.
really.
How
Yeah.
was it spelled?
Don't get me lying, but he's my sign flipper. And I was like, how do you pronounce that? He was like, Ryan. I was like, really? I was like, yeah.
There's a lot that goes into a name, and I know for a fact that Drunk Chicken Cigars has a story behind it. But before we get into it, I want to welcome back all of our visionaries back to the lab. I'm Cuff. That's Mo. We're so honored to have you here in the lab with us. We got a very special guest. Mo, who do we have on the show today?
Today's guest is joining us from the great state of Maryland. She is the mastermind, the visionary, all the above behind Drunk Chicken Cigars. Please welcome Desiree Sylver to the Vision Lab podcast.
Welcome to the show, Desiree, and I want to get right into it, right? So we just talked about it, right? Um, Family. What does that mean to you in terms of not only that word, but how important is that to you in your life?
Oh, family's everything. That's where I recharge my battery, where when the world is like hitting me upside the head, giving me the 1-2 punch, it's my family that keeps me going. If it wasn't for my girls, I have two girls, I would never have a PhD because there was many times I wanted to quit. And my young one came down and was like, hello, almost Dr. Mommy. And I was like, dang it, I can't quit now.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so they inspire me. They fill me up, give me love. So they are my all, my family.
You know, you got a lot of things going, and we're certainly going to uncover that as we dive more into Drunk Chicken Cigars. But you know, we talk about this a lot on our show, and that's the word balance, right? And what we've learned, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, as a mother to a wife, full-time employee, and the founder of Drunk Chicken Cigars, like, do you find that there's balance, or do you find that it's just juggling?
Oh, that's a good question. Is it balanced? There are months when there's absolutely balance, and there's months when there is just juggling, and I'm just trying to keep afloat, and I feel like I am drowning and overwhelmed. And trust me, I'm still a girl. I'll go in my corner, have my cry, and come back swinging. But it's overwhelming at times. But Rico is my fiance, and he keeps me pulling me to make sure that I keep that balance. So I appreciate that.
Definitely. So, obviously this is the Vision Lab. When it comes to Drunk Chicken Cigars, I think we would be remiss if we didn't start with the name, because I think you got a really, really cool story about it. We kind of talked about that offline, but how did the name Drunk Chicken Cigars, which pops, it hits, like you remember that, right?
Conversation piece for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So how did that name come about?
So I live in the Washington, D.C. area, and I live on a small farm. And I don't know if it used to be a large farm. They cut it up into pieces and sold it. And so we're almost on 6 acres. And behind us is a cow farm. And our particular neighborhood is not a farm, but I'm so intrigued with animals. I put a chicken coop in my backyard, and we have about 30 chickens, 35 on a good day. And I mean a good day when we re-up, and we're purposely not re-upping this year because we're trying to move. But anyway, so in DC area with a chicken farm, have a couple dogs, and my friends come over, and they born and raised in the DC area, and they don't know what chickens act like. And we're over there eating crabs and drinking and having fun, smoking cigars. And one of my friends goes, you should call this place the Drunk Chicken. Look at your chickens. They're running over there, and they were falling out, fighting each other, running on top of each other. And when I say falling out, whenever chickens get a little sun on their wings, they literally flop to the ground, or they bury themselves in dust, dig holes and bury themselves in dust. So she says that they look like they're drunk. So we all thought it was funny, particularly because we were the drunk ones, not the chickens. But the next day I went out and bought a big plaque that says, "Welcome to the Drunk Chicken, where we smoke cigars, drink whiskey, and we're living the dream." And we put the plaque up in the she shed. And so from that point on, when people say, "What are you doing?" "Well, I'm hanging out the Drunk Chicken. Come on, hang out." So everybody knew this place is a Drunk Chicken. So we fast forward a little bit. So now, I've been smoking cigars over 20 years now. And Rico and I traveled before the pandemic a lot, and we happened to run into a boutique cigar rolling shop. And I say boutique, it's not really boutique, but they roll cigars. They're Cuban born. They're telling us how they can roll cigars for us. And we're like, okay. And they rolled some cigars, and we thought they were, really great. The next day I went back. I was like, "Well, what kind of leaves you have?" And they're telling us the leaves. I said, "Can you?" And I put some combinations together. We went home, and I told them, "Hey, what if I buy more than 20 cigars? 200 cigars?" He said he'd give me a better price. So I went home, called him up, and we blended those 5, the first 5, the DCO, Mother Clucker, Fat Hen, Living the Dream, and Sweet Dream, together. And they were made based on how I smoke and how Rico smoked. He loves full body cigars 90% of the time. That's what he loves. I love, and then he likes the pepper and the cedar and the red wine. I love that as well. And then the Fat Hen was originally the Shorty. So that was just for smoking at work for lunchtime, because I wanted a quick smoke. living the dream is just so smooth, easy, and you can just smoke it all the time, any time of the day. And then the Sweet Dreams was amazing with coffee. So we ordered 100 of each of these just for us, and they all had bands 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on them. And we started looking around to see, well, I guess a little bit. I went a little bit ahead of myself because we go to the lounges and my friends would ask, "What are you smoking?" And we would say, "Oh, one of our cigars here, have one." We had 100 of each, so we have 500 cigars that we were keeping in the refrigerator, an old refrigerator. And they would tell us, "Oh, you should try to sell these. These are really good." So we looked into it and talked to some of our friends that own local lounges, and they said, yeah, they would buy it, but we had to change the band because it was a number one. It was a white band with a number one or number two on it. And so we started looking into that. And when we were in New York, we went to Martinez, where they roll cigars there in New York. And David, I think he's the manager there. He goes, "Tell me the story. What's the name of your cigars?" And we're like, "Oh, Crazy Dog or Mad Dog." And I never remember which one, but I had bought the URL at that point. And David was like, "Well, what does that mean to you?" I was like, "We need a name for the cigars. That's all." And he's like, "No, that cannot be your name. Your name has to have a story, has to have a meaning to it." And Rico and I looked at each other and almost instantly said, "Drunk Chicken Cigars." And David said, "I don't know what that means, but that's the name of your cigar company. Now tell me the story behind that." And so we told him how he came up with it. Long story, but our friends and we're crazy and we just love animals.
I love it.
So
I love it.
I gotta ask, right? So, and I love like hearing people's stories. You know, it's one thing for your friends to be like, "Hey, we like these," and people to be like, "Hey, we like these, you should sell them." But it's another thing when complete strangers who don't know you from Adam say like, "No, we're willing to essentially invest in your product." For you, Enrico, when did you know that like, oh, this is gonna work? Like this is for real. Like this is more than just, hey, we just happened to stumble across a guy and we just thought, okay, let's get 500 sticks that we like. Now you look up and it's like, oh, like we're across the country. So what was your aha or your light bulb moment when you like, oh, like we got something. This is gonna work.
I think it was before we even started to sell because I traveled for my full-time job as well. And like I said, the local lounges here were like, "Oh yeah, I like these, change the band." So I was in Alabama and I went to a lounge, knew no one in there. And I sat down and the guy's name is Donald Wade, Donald something like that. So and I gave him one of the cigars and I said, "Hey, would you buy the cigar?" So he said, "Tell me the story behind it." So I told him about Drunk Chicken Cigars, what I just told you. And he was smoking a cigar while I'm telling this story. And when we're done talking and everything, and I thought at the end of the night, he's not going to he would never buy it because he never really said anything to me. So at the end of the night, I'm about packing up, ready to go. He says, "I would definitely 100% buy this cigar. Do you have others?" And so I think I had like 2 or 3 others. I gave him a couple more, which were different blends than the one he smoked. He said, "There's only one thing you need to do." And he said, "You need to change the band. You cannot have these bands." I mean, he tells me people buy with their eyes. So now I have 2 people, totally different states, totally different race, totally different perspectives on cigars. They would buy the cigars. In fact, they both told me once I changed the bands, they'd be my first customer. So I remember this day clearly because it was my birthday, the day before my birthday, January 2020. They both placed an order. In January 22nd, we were able to ship their orders to them with the new bands and go on vacation to St. Thomas and get another customer in St. Thomas while we were on vacation.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long of a time span was that? That sounds like that happened really, really quickly.
So we were, so in 2018, we were buying the cigars for ourselves. 2019, early, we were smoking them. The bands, we would probably have sold them before, but I didn't realize I had to design the bands. We took pictures of our chickens for the most part, except for the original. We had to design the logo. So most of 2019, getting the business structure, LLC and all that, we didn't get that until October, but we're still working towards building this structure business. And that's when I think it was December, the band company they would go on holiday and they don't come back till like the first week of January. Once that happened, the bands immediately went from there to our manufacturer, from the manufacturer to us to ship out right before vacation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, when you talk about shipping out, first of all, let's rewind for a quick second. You're in the DC area. You obviously have been up to New York and to Alabama. You got, some beta tests that worked. The market approves. You go into production, right? When does the distribution, or how does your distribution take place, and what's the story behind that?
So it's different now than it was then. Back when we first started, we have 5 blends, and they were all one size, and all the cigars would come to us, and then we would take orders, and we would be the distributors as well. We had sales and distribution. Then
how much of a headache was that?
I mean, at first it wasn't bad because we didn't have a whole lot of customers. But I made a promise on how many people I would call a day, and new people I would call a day and follow up per day. And I stuck to that. And that, for me, that worked. In making new friends, hearing new things, and everything I hear, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, I want to hear it because it helps me pivot if I need to pivot. It helps validate what's going right. And it helps me to also articulate when somebody else comes up with that same, whether it's negative energy, issue, or concern, articulate why that certain thing is and problem solve for us. So I value all opinions.
It's incumbent to understand what the marketplace is saying about the product, and even more so incumbent for you to know everything about the product and how the marketplace receives it. So right. That's a huge lesson for anyone that's looking to become an entrepreneur or what have you. But obviously the brand, the cigars, the product is wildly successful. I am a big fan of it. You've grown to the point where, how many stores are you in across the country?
Over 400 in the US, and we sell in Europe, and we're working with a distributor now for Germany.
Stop playing. Stop playing with them.
Yeah. So we no longer do our own distribution. We go through Sutliff Tobacco, which has the infrastructure for distribution, but they also have the infrastructure I have 9 ambassadors now. And so they have the infrastructure in place to pay the ambassadors. I don't have to worry about all that stuff. So it just made it easier. It was more of I realized that I was going to become the single point of failure if I did not do something else. I can't sell and ship and source problems and work a full-time job and have, I just realized that I was doing too much. And at some point, I'm going to have to pay somebody. And I just did basically sat down with the spreadsheet and said, will this work? If I pay somebody to do this, and what would that look like for me?
Only so many hours in a day.
It's only so many hours in a day. And if you don't realize that, most small businesses fail because they don't realize that, you can't do everything.
Well, we're certainly glad that you did it right, because you're here in the DFW area. You know, for us, we got to show mad love to EB and Jacoby over at Blowing Smoke Cigar Lounge. Y'all check out this clip from EB.
Hey everyone, Edwina Brown here, owner operator of Blowing Smoke Cigar Lounge. We're located at 1604 North Interstate 35E in Lancaster, Texas. We would love for you to come see us. We stand on the 3 C's, which are cigars, our community, and our culture. Cigars, we have over 300 SKUs in our humidor and it's still growing. Come check it out, a massive humidor. We also love our culture here, which we're about customer service, as well as community, which is why we're excited to partner with the TheVisionLab podcast. So come check us out.
Again, everybody, if you're anywhere in the southern part of the Metroplex, make sure you get to Blowing Smoke Cigar Lounge at 1604 North I-35 in Lancaster, Texas. We promise you great cigar selection, great staff, great environment. It is what you want in a cigar lounge, and obviously you can get your drunk chicken cigars there at Blowing Smoke Cigar Lounge.
Yes. Love that. EB, is that what you call her?
That we know her as EB.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like that. Next time I see her, I'll make sure that I call her that. I think I'll see her at PCA in a couple weeks. So I want to go back for a second. One of the things I said was I try to pay attention to what people are saying to me. And I told you that they start off with just 5 cigars, one each size. One of the things that people, when I start calling the lounges, well, what sizes do you offer? And I was like, oh, just Robustos. And they were like, well, my customers like, and they would tell me different sizes. So after hearing that, okay, there's a customer base with different sizes, not just different blends, started doing tests on what sizes work best with what cigars. So one of the things that I learned by doing the different sizes with the cigars, not every size works with every blend very well. So that's why every size. So DCO comes in 3 sizes. Mother Clucker comes in 3 sizes, but not all the same 3 sizes as the DCO because it just, some of it just didn't work. The Mother Clucker to me did not transition well into a Lancero, but the DCO is amazing Lancero. But that box press of the Mother Clucker slaps something hard. So every as we started to grow, that was one of the things. We added different sizes, but we tested what the sizes were and make sure that it still was the same blend and that does it work in that size.
You know, I want to put things in perspective because we certainly have uncovered a lot, right? And your rise to success seems very meteoric. How long have you had drunk chicken, excuse me?
It's okay. I always say we're not drunken yet. We're just drunk. And so many people say drunken chicken cigars. I used to get really offended by it, and I really don't know what's the difference between drunken and drunk and why so many people say it. But I bought the URL and it just goes to Drunk Chicken Cigar Forward. So you can say, call me what you want. You're still going to get me.
Right, that's right. But how long have you had drunk chicken cigars?
On paper, according to the federal government, October 11th, 2019. But like I said, we were working well before that, trying to put the structure in place, get the bands, seeing if what cigars we wanted to sell, seeing if we wanted to do 4 or 5. We did go to some lounges and a couple in this area, and one of the lounges said, "You're trying to do too much. You should just focus on one." I'm so glad I didn't take that advice. Yeah, so we really did do a lot of communicating, talking, putting it out there. With when we went to lounges, I asked permission. Can I give my cigars to some of your customers to get feedback? And I smoked with them and asked them their opinions. I did focus groups with the cigars, because the descriptions that you see right now aren't really just my descriptions. It was the focus group's descriptions. I gave out cigars. We sat down to smoke, and the only thing I asked was, tell me what notes you have. Tell me this, what you feel in the cigar. And I took notes and used those for my description. So I did a lot of market research before just putting it out there and saying, here I am. I wanted a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask that question because we're knocking on the door of 3 years, right? At the time of this recording. And there's been a lot that was done on the back end before you're legally recognized, et cetera. And I really want to impress upon people that are watching or listening. And by the way, if you like the content that you've heard thus far, please go ahead and hit that like button as well as subscribe to our channel. But I want you to give people a taste of like, look, this is what you have to go through to not just make it, but to make it and be successful at any craft, whether that's being, a boutique cigar owner, a lounge owner, or in a different, completely different walk of life. The infrastructure and the time that you took to build out and constantly amend that infrastructure is important.
Yeah, from the boxes, we could not find wooden boxes, so we improvised, and so that's where we have the boxes to the old school like La Gloria boxes that we have right now. We looked at it and go, do we really want to do this? And when we took it back to the two people that originally said, yeah, we buy it, one of the guys was like, I think it's too kitschy. I'm not sure. I'm not really feeling it. But I said, I respect that. But I really like it. And so we're going to go forward with this. So we went with the band, we went with the box, and we went with the name. And I got a lot of flack for it to begin with, a lot of flack. Instagram posts weren't very nice at one point, but at the same time, I had to, I was told people, if I don't sell another cigar today, I will smoke every single one of the cigars I have. So I'm selling cigars is never my priority. It's satisfying customers and making sure that my company is in the right place.
It's funny you mentioned, the initial flack, right? And everyone we've encountered on the show, there's always a undercurrent of true belief in self, right? And when you're getting the flack on Instagram and the original pushback and blowback, if you will, can you talk about like where you went as a person, like internally, as Desiree, the owner, the CEO, like with the buck stops? Can you talk about where you went internally when you started to receive some of that?
So some of it was hurtful because I felt like I built relationships with people, and then seeing the people that I felt like I built relationships with talk about me and go to shops and actually say false information, going shop to shop and saying that I created bundles and I'm only selling bundles. I never I never blended these cigars and really had negatively talking about it. I was like, well, where did you come up with? So my original thought was, let's have a conversation, because I thought of you as a friend, a colleague, somebody that I built relationship with. And so I approached in a friendly manner and was like, hey, I'm hearing these things and I'm not understanding where they're coming from. And I told them exactly what I was hearing. And then come to find out it wasn't just him. It was a band of them doing it together. And so I said, I had to pray about it, and I let it go after I had that initial conversation, because I realized at that point, number one, I can't please everybody. And number two, everybody that I thought was my friend and not necessarily my friend, or not necessarily there and have my back. When people start seeing success, there seems to be something ugly that comes out in a lot of people. And so I just had to take it on the chin, because I'm not going to publicly argue, embarrass myself or even that person because of what they're doing. I have to stay true to myself and who I am, and I'm not going to let anybody change who I am or make me do something or what I think somebody, one of you said this earlier. I can't control other people, so
Yeah.
no one can make me do anything that I don't want to do. So I'm not going to buy into it. I had tried to have a grown-up conversation and it didn't go well. And so I say, I just wish them well on their journey. And I look back almost 3 years later, and they're not even in the cigar industry anymore. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, all three of them, none of them are doing what they would. They were claiming that they own lounges. They didn't really own lounges, and they're not really there anymore. So, and those lounges are still going without them. So it's just. I think karma will get you when you're showing ugly.
I think it's, I don't know the exact phrase, but it goes something to the effect of, if you're not getting hate, you're not doing it right. You know what I mean? And you've got a fantastic product. I'm actually smoking the Fat Hen. So there's one that I've got several in the humidor. I support the product. The Vision Lab podcast supports the product. So it just goes to show, absolutely. It just goes to show that, you've got a fantastic product. And haters are going to be there, right? And they're designed to promote and to get you out there even further and to really push the envelope. I want to get into the actual cigars themselves. So how many different blends or faces do you have right now? Is it 6 or 5?
So it's funny. Technically, I have 7 different blends. However, I did pull one back, the Extreme. So you don't really hear about that that much anymore. I did release it at PCA last year, and so I pulled that back. So right now we have 6 different blends that we sell with 13 different faces, 13 or 14.
So let's start with
I should know that.
Start with DCO. Let's start with DCO. That's okay. Let's start with DCO, Drunk Chicken Original. Okay,
Drunk
DCO.
Chicken Original, yes.
What is the flavor profile? What can our visionaries, any other consumers that want to support Drunk Chicken cigars, what can they expect out of the DCO?
Well, there's 3 different sizes of the DCO. We have a Gordo 6x60, a Robusto, and a Lancero. It is a Mexican San Andreas with the Ecuadorian binder, with the Ligero, Nicaraguan Ligero filler. So you're going to expect earthy, dark chocolate, really smooth. That's one of the things that all of my cigars, the strength may be full, but the blend and the profile is always going to be smooth. The Mother Clucker is Habano, a medium Habano wrapper with the Ecuadorian binder and Ecuadorian filler. So it is really cedar, really woody, and it's smooth. It is a medium cigar, and it is 3 different sizes. It's a Gordo, a Robusto, and a Robusto box press. And out of all 3 sizes, the Robusto box press is my favorite in that particular size, by the way. The Lancero and the DCO is my favorite in that Lancero, in that particular blend.
That was going to be one of the questions I asked, if you have a particular favorite. So that's good to know.
So I like all of the cigars. I love all the cigars, but I have a particular size in each one of them that I like. And it's different for each blend. So the Fat Hen is a toss-up between the Shorty Torpedo and the Torpedo. I started off smoking Gordos. That's all I smoked when I first started smoking for about 10 years. And then all of a sudden I'm introduced to all these other sizes and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love them. So the Fat Hen comes in the Gordo, the Shorty Torpedo, and a Torpedo. It is, again, the medium Habano, but it's Ecuadorian and Dominican filler. And so you still have a light cedar, but you also have some, and the woodiness, but it's a little creamier, a little smoother. I wouldn't say smoother because Mother Clucker smooth, but it introduces the creaminess into it that you don't get into the Mother Clucker.
Love it. And that's actually what I'm smoking on tonight.
Yes, I was going to ask you, do you get the woody notes and light spice when you smoke it?
I do. I think that's an accurate description. Woody, earthy, light spice, not overpowering. It's a good middle of the day type smoke. You know, you can have it with a spirit. You can have it with coffee. So it seems to be very diverse in how you can use it. It could be an early morning smoke. It could be a late evening smoke. It seems very versatile.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's what kind of one of the things I liked about it. It was the Shorty Torpedo was actually my absolute favorite because I can go to the office, they getting on my nerves, I run outside and I will smoke that Shorty Torpedo, come back with a better attitude, knowing that I'm not going to get fired because I am not going to knock anybody out.
I love it. I love it.
So
where are we? Mother Clucker?
That the Mother Clucker we just talked about. So it's Living the Dream next. So
yes.
The Dream collection is going more on the medium to light side. And so I say that the Living the Dream is a medium. It may be smooth, but that strength is medium when you smoke it. It is really light. It is a light Habano with Dominican fillers. It is a really easy smoke for beginners, people that say, I only smoke Cubans. That's the cigar for them. It is, like I said, a really easy, smooth smoke, but I like easy smokes to begin with. Then we have, it comes in two sizes. It comes in the Robusto and a Lancero. In this one, I do like the Robusto. The Lancero is okay, but I like the Robusto a little bit better. It's a heartier smoke in the Robusto to me. Then I have the Sweet Dreams, and to me, it is a medium to mild, really on the light medium to mild cigar strength. It is a Connecticut with a Nicaraguan Habano, with a Nicaraguan filler, and it is the sugar dip, the tip, so it's not infused. And when you do that, every leaf to me that I've tried with putting it, basically dipping it in sugar water, has come out different. And that one, it comes out cocoa, vanilla. And when I tried it with the Mexican San Andreas, it came out tasting like raisins. So that one was not a go for me. I didn't want to smoke raisins.
So now that we've made you go through your entire inventory list, allow me to switch it up. So obviously you're doing well, right? The brand has grown exponentially, like your hard work has paid off. But as far as Desiree, the owner, the beginning and end of Drunk Chicken Cigars, what do you stand for?
What do I stand for? Wow, no one's ever asked me that. As a person or as a brand?
There's no right or wrong answer.
As a person, I see myself standing for like hard work, equality, and inclusion, because I work my butt off to get where I am. And I find that I want to be an example to young women, to minorities, and actually anybody that feels like, man, I just don't see myself there, that if you really put some thought into it, if you really, put some effort, make a plan, and stick to your guns, you can get there. And there's nothing wrong with asking for help. There's no shame in it. Matter of fact, I encourage it. I tell people, you can't do it by yourself, and you don't know what you don't know, and you can't be an expert in everything. I'm just not an expert in everything. I know I need a bookkeeper. Please help me do my books. I'm not that person. I'm not, I can pick up the phone and talk to people. I have a gift for gab when I feel like it. But, you know, I can't be everywhere. So I open up what some of, the profits to other entrepreneurs that want to learn about the business. And I said, hey, I'm growing. I don't know what an ambassador is, but work with me and I'm going to do you right. And now we are 9 deep.
So let me throw another curveball at you.
Okay.
Who's been your biggest influence since you started on this journey?
Biggest influence. So that's a hard question for me to answer because I try not to. I don't go engage myself against anybody or anything. I am my biggest critic and I am the hardest on myself. No one can be harder on me than me. And if I start to gauge what other people are doing, what other people are saying, it starts to negatively impact me as a person. So because I go, oh, it's that's theory. You're trying to keep up with the Joneses, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to stay in my lane, know my product, grow what my business, and so I think that my work ethic has been the biggest driver for me.
That's good. We always ask this question, so I've got to know, especially with a phenomenal product. What was the original vision for Drunk Chicken Cigars? And follow up, how has it changed?
Originally, I just wanted to open up a lounge, smoke some cigars, and maybe have my own house blend. That was the original vision. It's changed quite a bit because I started researching lounges, and at the time, getting a liquor license, food, and all that stuff, because that's what I wanted to do. I was like, oh, it's too much. But it was too much with everything else that I had going on. So the vision's changed to, put them in the lounges and hang out at lounges that I put them in. And now the vision's changed again, where I do want to have a lounge again, but in the lounge, it's going to be more than a lounge. It's going to be an education. I still want the liquor license, but now I'm going to bring in local vendors or food trucks and pastries for them to do that. I don't have to do all that. And I'm going to have, eventually, I want to do my own distribution back again, where I hire somebody to distribute. We'll probably have a bigger online presence where we're selling more than just Drunk Chicken Cigars. So we'll have like an online lounge. And then I'm going to invite local distributors, meaning liquor distributors, liquor manufacturers, to come in and do pairing education classes once a week with my customers. So I do want to have a roller there, and maybe eventually, I've been telling everybody I want to have my own manufacturer. So yeah, things are growing. My vision's bigger, but one step at a time.
I love it. And I want to go back for a quick second, because one of the things that I think that you said was poignant that we didn't elaborate on was, you didn't want to be the single point of failure, right? And so I asked the question of vision and what you originally saw with Drunk Chicken, how it's changed. Now knowing what you know, I think there's theory, and Mo talks about this all the time, right? There's theory and there's application. Mm-hmm. So you've been able to learn, like, I can't do all of this on my own or by myself. As much as this is my baby, I got to be able to delegate and have other people step in. Otherwise, you're going to be that single point of failure. What other lessons have you learned that you can help? I think education is important to you, right? That you can educate someone that's looking to be an entrepreneur or looking to even just climb the corporate ladder. from a mindset perspective? What can you kind of, educate them on or teach them real quickly?
I would say there's nothing wrong with partnerships, and stop looking at everybody as competition. I don't see anybody as competition. I think there's enough room for all of us to eat. And wherever my brand goes does not mean that that's going to be the same path as somebody else goes. I I did say that I have a PhD in business leadership and organizational leadership. And one of the when I used to be a professor, one of the stories I used to say was, I'm going to the mall and you're going to the mall. And we're starting off at your house or my house, the same point. But I say, I'm going to see you later when you get there, because we're going to drive two different cars. But we don't talk about the path that we're going to go to get to the mall. We just end up at the same place. It may take you longer to get there because you ran into traffic, you went a different route, you left a different time than I did. You may have hit a pothole, you may have busted a tire, and I may have gone straight through without any problems. And we end up at the same spot. There are different roadmaps, there are different directions. It's just almost like a GPS. You put in your GPS, I put in my GPS, and it takes us two different paths. And sometimes it'll take you in a different place that you didn't expect to end up. But when you're talking about your life, your product, your business, your job, look at your roadmap and figure out the obstacles that's going on there and overcome those and stop worrying about what they're doing.
Yeah, I absolutely love that.
Sage advice, as you call it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And I started off with partnerships. I've been engaging other cigar brands and saying, hey, I just placed my first ad and in the magazine. It cost me an arm and a leg. Would you like to do an ad together where there's 5 of my sticks and 5 of your sticks in the same ad? And it doesn't have to be a picture of me. I don't care if it's a picture of you. It's an advertisement, or we can come up with something together. I haven't found anybody that has taken on the challenge yet. But here's the thing. When somebody does, because somebody will eventually one day, they have to see the opportunity in it. We can do more than one ad now, because now we're splitting the cost. Now we have the ability to do 2 ads. Now we have the ability to reach more people. Now we have the ability to share resources. There's so many reasons for you to do this, and stop looking at me and your next person as a competition, but look at them as an opportunity to partner and grow. Together, we can do so much more.
I love it. I love it. And so, the foundation, the core piece of the TheVisionLab podcast is mindset. And I think we're at a great point here where, we understand that there's a fixed mindset and then there's a growth mindset. You seem to operate and function within the growth mindset, which is why you're on the podcast, right? Talk to our visionaries about the value and importance of having a growth mindset and how that's impacted you individually or, from Drunk Chicken's perspective.
Well, I mean, if you're not looking at the future and looking at where your product is or where you are in life and gauging where you want to be, you'll never be able to set your GPS that we were just talking about to the right place. If you have no concept of, I want to go to this mall, or I want to be this in life, or I want my sales to be this, you have nothing to target, no place to put in, to put in your GPS. So you need to look at where you are in life and where you want to go. And once you understand that, then you can start biting that elephant little chunks at a time to get there. You start doing a plan, and the plan, don't overwhelm yourself with, oh, I have to do this in a year, or I have to do this in 2 years or 2 months, or whatever it is. Look at every, what do you call it?
Landmark?
Thank you. Every landmark, and then there are steps to get to that landmark. And once you reach that landmark, you set yourself to the next landmark. You may have to repeat some steps, but some of the steps you've already done to reach that landmark will help pivot you to the next one. Make sure, I'm going to repeat that one more time. Make sure your structure is in place, even if you have to do like I did, because it started off with, yeah, we're going to try to do this. Let's see what happens. I took all of this year, summer last year, to start putting that structure into place, making sure that when I bring people on board, that it's the easy onboarding, that I learned from each thing and writing it down, doing lessons learned, doing standard operating procedures, understanding your vision and putting it down on paper, because when opportunity knocks, you want to be able to open the door. And I said a lot of cliches during this thing, but those cliches matter.
Yeah, there's a reason why they're used all the time, because they're true.
Yeah. So yeah, you want to be able to walk through those doors when it comes to you.
Before we get to the last part of the show, we would be remiss without asking for you to drop all your social handles, websites, any avenues that listeners and followers of the show can get a hold of you at Drunk Chicken Cigars.
All right, I'll make it easy for you. All right, drunkchickencigars.com, IG Drunk Chicken Cigars, TikTok Drunk Chicken Cigars, and if you mess it up, Facebook Drunk Chicken Cigars, and if you mess it all up, guess what? You can say Drunken Chicken Cigars, and you will still get me.
There it is.
Love it.
Now you're on TikTok?
I am on TikTok. I've over the last, I would say, 2 months, I've grown my TikTok followers from 100 to almost 3,000 now. My best video, I think, is like 25,000 views right now, and I try to do something similar to what you're doing right here every day. It does not work for me every day. I need to come up with a better schedule, either Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But at 5:30, I do a live and sit down and talk about whatever topics. I bring people on, just random. I brought some guy on that was like, I smoke Black and Milds. I was like, okay. Ooh. And we started going in on him. I said, we're not going to do that. What we're going to do today is educate him on the difference on what he's smoking and what we're smoking. We're not going to be that community that's not welcoming, educating, and understanding. So that's what we just had a conversation. And when people went negative, I was like, no, that's not what we're going to do. But once he got off, somebody said, yeah, you should have hung up. And I was like this? And I booted them out because I was like, that's not what we're doing. So,
well,
it has to be love.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I want to see you do some TikTok dances and some videos like that.
I have 2 left feet. Well, I'll tell you what, Desiree, this has been awesome. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us. Shout out to Susie at Lit Torch app.
Hey, Susie.
This has been really, really good. So we have reached the part of the show where we land the plane. And so we asked everybody this question as we wind down the show. It's you, and there's a round table with 5 other seats. Who are the 5 other people you want at your table? They can be dead or alive. The only stipulation is that you can't have God at your table, because who would want to talk to him?
Okay. I'm definitely going to have Rico at the table, because you talking about somebody that support, have my back, pick me up when I'm down, and make sure that they tell me the truth when I'm out of my box. So I definitely need him in my corner. At the table. Okay, so this is going to sound crazy, but definitely both my girls, because when Drunk Chicken Cigar started and you talking about distribution, how did I do it? both of them learned the cigars. They learned all the blends. They learned all the sizes, the names. And when orders came in, I said, hey, go put this in a box. And I handed it to them. And I have amazing girls. That's how I kept up with what I am. I had 16 and 15 and 17 at the time, and they filled 90% of my orders.
So you had in-house employees.
Hey, yes, they want to eat, right?
Hey, that's a write-off. That's write-off.
Yes,
allowance, it's a write-off.
Yes, but I mean, when you talk about people that have your back, you know, you want to maintain that. So, but I would love to talk to like Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk and just kind of like pick their brain on, dude, how did you get here? What am I missing? Or am I in the right direction? Give me a nugget here. They would be great. I think I fill my table with the 5 when I say that, but I would love to just kind of get a nugget of inspiration, direction, or clarity on, like, is there a secret formula? And if it is, am I doing it? Am I in the right direction? I feel like I am, but I don't know if I have enough time, like in this lifetime, to get there.
I'll tell you one thing they would probably tell you.
What's that?
Quit your full-time job and go all in.
So it's coming. It's coming faster. We had talked off camera about me moving. The house right now looks like a tornado came through it, because I've taken every room and looked at it and said, what do I need and what am I not using? And the whole garage is full of things that's going to Goodwill. Redoing it to sell, downsizing so that the full-time job won't be as a requirement based on the bills that we have. And Rico's retired, so it's coming. I'm in that point where I'm transitioning. I see that as what I need to do. It's just step process that I have to go through.
It's intentional preparation.
Yes, it is. And then I still have one that's in high school that I want her to graduate. I just don't want to rip her out of her school because she's doing so well. 2 seconds to brag. My oldest graduated last year with an associate's degree, high school. And so she's a junior, started off a junior in college. She's a senior now. And my youngest is doing the exact same.
Shout out to you, Mom. Shout out to the baby daughters.
Yeah, they are amazing young ladies. So that, that's kind of, I said family first. I put a lot of energy in making sure that they understood the value of education, the value of learning, and the value of being respectful in life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So you talked about your girls and how they put the blends together. They learn the blends. So I want to change it up and ask a different question.
Okay.
So you are a cigar. What is your binder, wrapper, filler, and what kind of blend are you?
I am a cigar. Okay, so outward appearance, I think I would be kind of oily because people seem to think that I'm not approachable for some reason. I don't know. I would be kind of dark and oily. Like, I don't know. You're kind of hard and harsh looking. I don't know. But then I think inside I would be a little spicy because I can bite a little bit. But I think there would be some smoothness to me. So I definitely would add some Dominican because I think that this really smooths out a lot of cigars. And maybe might be 3 blend, a Nicaraguan, a little Ligero for a kick, and a little Ecuadorian for some spice. Yeah, and then smooth. oily, maybe Mexican San Andreas on the outside. Because when you see me, I don't know. But when, but when you get to know me, you'll know, okay, she's cool, but don't cross it because she might bite. A little spicy there. Yeah, so that
So,
would be
so
that would be me.
that that first third is going to be a little, testing, trying it out. That middle third, you're going to mellow out a little bit, but just be careful because on that last third, you might have a little bite to you.
Yeah, I might hit you over the head. What pow?
I love it. I love it. I love it.
That's a good
Last,
question. I really like that.
yeah. Well, we have a centerpiece of cigars, so it makes sense, right? It's an easy one to ask, and it gets you thinking a little bit. So, and I want to keep you thinking, right? So, in case you didn't know, we do have a magical time machine here in the Vision Lab podcast. Okay. What advice would you be giving yourself, Desiree, from 5 years ago? So you're 5 years younger. You're looking back at yourself. What advice are you telling Desiree from back then?
I would tell Desiree from back then, don't treat it as a hobby. Go in it with the same passion, the same rigor and structure that you would any other business. I treated it as a hobby. And so I played catch up, and I'm still playing catch up on a lot of stuff right now. As far as structure goes, I feel like where I am right now, a lot of the growing pains I may have been able to overcome or like bypass some of the potholes and stuff like that if I would have treated it more like a structured business to begin with.
No, that's it's deep. It's got a lot of layers to it. I think a lot of people struggle with the infrastructure and setting up the structure, the cadence, how you want things to run. But if you can spend time on that, Mo and I play football, right? It's being in preseason and putting it all together so that you're ready to go for the regular season. And the regular season is nothing more than, quizzes and practice tests for the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And if you're good enough, then you can get, move forward. So spend time doing the little things. Spend time putting the infrastructure together. Spend time putting, your cadences, the relationships, knowing the product, whatever it is that you're doing. And it doesn't have to be just cigars. Of course, that's what we're talking about with you. But spend the time to know every little nuance about your business, because it will pay massive dividends in the future. So I love
that's not the fun stuff. People don't like to do it. It's not the fun, sexy stuff, but it's the definitely necessary stuff. I've learned that the hard way, even with ambassadors. Oh, I want to be an ambassador. Well, why? Do you want to be famous? Do you want to make a whole lot of money? Because you're not going to be really either of those by doing this. But I can tell you this, you learn about cigars, you learn about the cigar industry, and you're not going to start off with my company anyway, and start out there, jump out there, and I'm gonna do events. I'm doing events. No, you have to prove that you can talk at an event. You have to prove that you notice the blends and the brand before you do. You have to know that you can sell. So you have to put in the work before you get to do the fun stuff, and that's with everything that you do seriously in life.
Yeah, and that's why we call it the Vision Lab, because you got to get in that dark place. You got to study. You got to put your head down. You got to get rid of all the distractions from social media, even family at times, right? Because you're working towards a greater good for those that you love and care about. Now, I'm going to fast forward the clock. Okay, second part to my question. I'm going to fast forward the clock. You're now 5 years older. Okay, what advice would Desiree Sylver be giving herself from 5 years ago? Or excuse me, today.
Today? Oh,
yeah. So you're 5 years older?
I'm 5 years older than I am right now.
And they're looking back at you now.
Oh gosh. Dang. Oh no. I might have to come back to that one. I don't know.
This is it. This is the last question.
Yeah. Oh, this is the last question? Oh man. I would tell myself to have fun. That's what I would tell myself. Don't forget to have fun. Pick up, smell the roses, drink the coffee, have relax, make sure you have that balance. Yeah, I think that's what I would tell myself.
And have some whiskey.
Hell yeah.
Well, Desiree, it's been an absolute honor having you jump into the lab with us. A lot of great nuggets, a lot of sage advice. I want to say thank you on behalf of myself for jumping in the lab. Remember, visionaries, each one of our guests that jump into the lab are dropping nuggets of wisdom on the trail of life. Ultimately, my friends, it's up to you to pick them up.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ryan Mosley. He is Ryan Cuffey. Thank you again to our guest, Desiree Sylver of Drunk Chicken Cigars. And we will see you guys next week on another great episode of the Vision Lab podcast.
Booyah.
Blessing.